What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Tank B Choppin, and I'm back with another haircut tutorial. So what we're gonna do on this cut is we actually changing this whole man's look up. He used to get like a 6 and a low fade, but he decided to switch it up, and we're actually gonna be doing a number 4 on top and a mid fade. So first things first, as you can see, I'm combing out the hair like I always do, making sure it lays down in the way it grows. That way I know the way I'm cutting it, it's gonna all be nice and even. So as you can see, I'm using my Babyliss Custom FX. I got my number 4 guard on there, and currently I'm going against the grain. And y'all know how I do, guys. I'm gonna go against the grain and across the grain. I'm gonna do this a couple times just to make sure it's all down to that desired length, and I don't leave any loose hairs standing up or anything that needs to be cut down. I'll make sure it's all cut down right here and right now. And it's okay if you don't, like if you happen to leave some loose hairs, obviously you can come back later on in the cut and get those, but I like to just make sure it's, you know, it's nice and even at the beginning of the cut. That way I don't have to come back and do it at the end. So now that that step is done, what I'm doing here is I'm taking my number 3 guard. I got my lever all the way open, which makes this a 3.5, and I'm coming up and fading up right about the parietal ridge. I'm actually just lowering this part of the haircut down just so it makes it a little easier for me to blend and make this process a little faster for me. Now, as you can see, my lever is all the way closed, and I'm coming up right below what I just did. And I will be doing some fade down, some of the fade down technique on this haircut. But this is just doing, I'm basically just debulking this area so I didn't have to mess with it later on in the haircut. And as you can see, you can adjust that lever as needed during this step. You don't have to do everything with the lever open and then come back and keep that lever closed. You can actually just adjust that lever when you feel it's needed to make sure you don't leave any lines. So now I'm actually going in with my trimmer. I am gonna start off with my bald guideline. And like I said, we are doing a mid fade and we are keeping that C cup. Therefore, I am gonna leave a little bit of hair right there just so it's a little darker. So when I line that up, it really pops. And remember, guys, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I'll continue to say it, guys. On most of my fades, I like to drop it down in the back slightly. So as you can see, I drop down this fade a little bit in the back, and I just feel that it contours the head better. And I just feel it gives an overall just a better look at the end of the haircut. So now that that is done, I'm going in and I'm following what I just did with my shaver. As you can see, I'm coming up right below that line and I'm flicking out. So even though it looks like I'm actually going up to that line, I'm actually coming right below it and I'm flicking out. I know a lot of people, they don't go up to that line or even get close to that line. I guess they're scared to go that high. They're scared to create another bald guideline. And I understand you, man. I feel it, you know what I'm saying? I feel exactly what you're saying. I've done it before. But the more you do it, the easier it does tend to get. So the closer I get to this line, I do start flicking out. And sometimes I actually bring that trimmer, or not the trimmer, the shaver downwards, and it actually just helps blend this in a little better. If you're not too familiar with using the shavers, guys, then I wouldn't come all the way up into that line. But if you've been doing it for a while and you feel comfortable doing it, then you can do it. Just make sure you're flicking out the closer you get to that line. Alright, so now we're going to get into some actual fade work. Remember, guys, we did the number 4 on top. I hit that number 3 guard all around the parietal ridge. So now what I have on my clipper right here is my number 2 guard. My lever is open, and I'm basically coming up right below where I left off with that number 3 guard. And I am using a flick out motion. That way this guard fades into that number 3. So I'm starting with my lever open, and I'm going to repeat this step with my number 2 open, and I'm going to repeat this step with my number 2 closed. And remember, guys, as you can see, I'm coming right below what I just did. And if you happen to make a line, you can always go back and place your bigger guard on top of that and just knock out that line if you set one in. So this is actually my 1.5 guard, and as you can see, my lever is open. And I'm doing the same thing, guys. I'm just using that fade down technique, coming right below what I did with that number 2 guard. Making sure I'm using a slight flick out motion. That way I don't leave any lines. And once I do this with my lever open, I'm gonna adjust my lever closed and do the same thing. So I really like the fade down technique, guys, but the bad thing about it is sometimes you can get lost in your fades. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. So I encourage y'all to try it out and see if you like it. It might make your fades come out better, and you might actually like doing this better than the regular fade techniques. So as you can see, I slapped my number 2 guard back on my clipper. I obviously set a line in there that I wasn't trying to create, so I went back and I just cleaned that up a little bit. So now I'm actually gonna start fading up. I'm starting with my clipper with the lever open. And my guideline looks pretty small right there, so I am gonna make this guideline slightly bigger. Me personally, guys, I don't do a lot of compressed fades. I don't like doing compressed fades. I don't like the way they look. Now, I will give credit when credit is due, and a lot of times they do look nice and they do look clean. But for me and my style of cutting, it's just something I don't really do. I can do it, but like I said, I just really don't like to do it. So anyways, as you can see, my clipper is open. And I'm coming up about 3/4 of an inch. As you can see, I'm raising that guideline a little bit. And then I'm gonna close my clipper halfway. And I'm gonna come up right below what I just did. Basically, I'm gonna come up maybe halfway into that section using a flick out motion. And then once that is done, I'm gonna close my lever 1 notch, come right below that. And then I'm gonna close my lever all the way and try to take out the bottom of this guideline. And remember, guys, I've said it before, if the bottom of this guideline doesn't come completely out, that's perfectly fine. We can always go back over that later with a different clipper or with a trimmer. And I'm really feeling this beat. Shout out to that boy Tito Beats, man. He be dropping that fire. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I'm actually just detailing this part of the haircut. I know I don't normally do a lot of detailing in the, basically the beginning of my haircuts, but I just felt that it didn't look as clean as I wanted it to look, so I needed to do some detail work to make sure it looked nice. So I'm just adjusting that lever as needed to make this section as blurry as possible. So now my number 1 guard is on my clipper. My lever is all the way open, and this should basically fade into the top of this haircut. Because remember, guys, we went all the way with the 1.5, but we faded all the way down to a 1.5. And with my 1 open, this is technically the same length, even though I know it is a little smaller, but technically it's the same length. So this should fade into it, and if it doesn't, we can always clean that up if needed. So my lever is open right now. Like I said, guys, I'm just flicking out my clipper, trying to get rid of them dark areas and that dark spots. And now my lever is closed, and I'm trying to get out that bottom line that you see me working out right now. And if this happens not to get out that line, if this happens, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but if this don't get out the line, we can always come back with that 1/16 guard if needed. And as you can see, that's what I had to do here. So here's my 1/16 guard. Most of the time I start with my 1/16 guard on the 2nd notch. It's rare that I use it all the way open on these clippers or when I use this system, but I do sometimes. But I started off with my lever halfway open, so on that 2 notch, and I just started attacking that line, and then I just closed that lever as needed to help get away, just take away some of these dark areas, and then I'm just gonna keep adjusting that lever as needed to make sure this fade comes together nice. So now I'm going back in with my lever all the way closed right here, and I'm just attacking the bottom of that line right there. So as you can see, y'all can see that line, right? So I'm just trying to mess with that and get that away, trying to erase that line just to bring this fade together. And I don't know if y'all can tell this or not, but this client of mine right here, he happens to have some real thick hair. Like, I've been cutting his hair for a long time. He was actually one of my first clients, man. I cut his older brother, and I remember them coming to my house, and like I was cutting their hair not the garage, but I was cutting their hair in the restroom, and yeah, man, so he's a long client of mine, and his haircut is always taking me a while because his hair is so thick. But as you can see, we're getting it done. As you can see here, I did change my clipper, and that's perfectly fine, guys. You got to do what you got to do to make sure these haircuts come out nice. So I did change my clipper just to detail a little bit, and I actually encourage that a lot, guys. If sometimes you just can't get a line out using a certain clipper that you have, just go ahead and switch that clipper up, use another one, and sometimes that'll help get that line out or get them dark areas to look better. So what I'm doing here basically, guys, I'm just detailing this cut. This is my number 1 guard. And I'm just touching up these dark areas to try to make sure this fade comes together and this haircut just looks as blurry as we can possibly make it look. So moving on to the edge up, y'all know I like to start in the middle of my client's head. So as you can see, I made my first initial guideline and I just moved my way over. Now I'm working on my vertical bars, tapping that C cup, giving them a nice curve. And yeah, that's what we're doing. So now I'm taking my trimmer, and as you can see, I'm just cleaning up the bottom of that fade. There was basically still a little line in there that I wanted to take care of, so that's what I was doing with my trimmer. And now I'm going back and I'm detailing some more. And I know you're probably thinking this is overkill, but I always tend to detail a little more after I line them up in the front. I feel that helps me see the fade a little better, and obviously taking your eyes away from the fade. When you come back to it, you see some discrepancies that you want to take care of afterwards. So what we did to the left side is the same thing we're going to do to the right side, and that's exactly what I'm doing here, guys. I have my number 2 guard on my clipper. Lever is open. I'm starting off by debulking the side of this head. And as you can see, my lever is closed now. And I'm just fading this part of the haircut up. Now with my 1.5 guard, lever open, doing the same exact thing, fading down using that fade down technique. And I can see that I left a faint line right there towards the top of the parietal ridge. So as you can see here, I'm actually taking my number 3 guard and cleaning that up. So right here, I'm just setting in my next guideline with my lever open. Same thing, guys. I'm coming up about 3/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to adjust that lever closed to get rid of this line at the bottom of this haircut. So if y'all liking what y'all see so far, guys, please do me a favor and smash that like button. Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe one time for your boy. Y'all know how we do it. Remember, guys, I got a giveaway coming away at 2,000 subscribers, and I'm almost there. I'm like at, the last time I checked, I was like at 1,994. So we right there, guys. All we need is a few more subscribers, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna set up a giveaway. I believe I'm gonna be giving away either a Stylecraft or a Gamma Alpha. So yeah, that's basically what I'm gonna be doing. I might be giving away the trimmer with it that goes with it, with an absolute hitter. And yeah, so y'all stay tuned for that, guys. Make sure to hit that bell so y'all know every time I'm dropping a video. So if I do the giveaway, you don't miss out on it. Alright, guys, so now we're moving on to the opposite side of his lineup. As you can see, I'm picking up where I left off in the middle of the head. I'm just following that line all the way to the opposite side of his head just to make sure it's as crisp and as straight as possible. I've said it before, guys, and I'll say it again. You don't have to do this step on this part of the haircut. You can do it at the very end of the haircut, but like I said, I just like to do it now because it helps take my eyes off of the fade. And once I put this line in it helps me see the fade a little better so I know what I need to detail. So as you can see, now I'm going back and I'm doing some detail work. And 9 times out of 10, guys, I'm gonna do detail work after I line them up. Like I said, it just helps me see that fade a little better, and it helps me make this fade. It helps bring this fade to the next level every time I do that after I line them up. So if you're struggling on taking your fades to the next level, try lining them up and then going back to the fade, and you can see most of the time you'll be able to see some more lines and some more dark areas a little better. So my personal opinion, guys, the back of the haircut is always the hardest, and I think it's because of the way I do it. You know, I do the left side first, then the right side, and then I come back and I tie the back in to make sure both sides tie in together. And I think that makes it a little harder for me because I have to actually you know, blend the back in while making the left side go perfectly with the right side. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here, guys. But so what I like to suggest to a lot of people, especially if they're new to cutting hair, is try to do it setting your guidelines in all the way around first. So you don't need to do one section at a time. You can do like the whole head. So you just set in your clipper open guideline, go all the way around the head, and come back with your number one guideline, and so forth and so forth. And that sometimes may make it a little easier. Now, even though I say doing this part of the haircut's a little harder for me and waiting to the end makes it harder, it's not that big of a deal because I've been doing this for so long, and I already basically got it down and know what I need to do to make this, you know, make this whole haircut come together. And I'm not trying to say that y'all don't or that I'm better or whatever. Like, I'm just saying that I've been doing it for so long, guys. I've been cutting hair for 13 years, so doing it this way is easy for me, and I just know how to make this haircut come together towards the end of this cut. And if you are interested, guys, it's the same exact steps that we're doing on the back that we did on both sides of the cut. Only difference is, like I said, we're trying to make sure it ties in together. So as you can see, I'm detailing this part of the back first, and then I'm going to be detailing the left side of the back of his haircut second. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm detailing this side of the hair, basically to make it match to the left, to the back, which makes the back fade into the right. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say there. And I know y'all probably thinking like, man, why you haven't used these clippers in a long time? Why'd you decide to bring them out? I always do this from time to time, guys. I like to switch in my clippers just because I get a little bored of using the same thing over and over and over. Now, I'm not saying I don't like any clipper that I have. I like all my clippers, but I just like to switch it up from time to time. Like if you actually come to the shop and see me cut hair, I'll pick up all my clippers at least one time, you know, throughout my whole day. And that's what I like to do. I just feel like it keeps me on my toes and keep me trying my best to, you know, do these haircuts. So now what I'm doing is I'm going over that edge up with the razor. As you can see, I'm stretching that skin tight, and I'm just making sure it's stretched. That way we lessen the chance of nicking the client. And I'm just going over everything I did with my trimmers just to make sure these lines are as sharp as possible. So now we're gonna add some enhancements. As you can see, I'm not doing too much. I'm not doing the most. Like I'm just really trying to make these lines pop a little bit. I know some people are anti-enhancements, and some people say they're weak and people shouldn't be using them. But I know that my clients really enjoy them, and I know this haircut was a good haircut without them. Like y'all saw the haircut before, right? But I just wanted to do it because I feel it takes these haircuts to the next level, and I feel my clients really like them. Now check out this before look. I almost talked over it, but this is the before look of the cut. And this is how my man's left the shop looking. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this haircut in the comments, guys. If y'all like this haircut, make sure to smash that like button. Also, make sure to subscribe one time for your boy. Y'all know how we doing over here, guys. We got content dropping every week. Like I try to drop 2 to 3 videos every week. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this cut in the comments, guys. Like I said, smash that like button. Leave any questions or comments in the comment section, and I'll make sure to get back to them as soon as possible. I appreciate y'all, YouTube. Until next time.